The feedback system and amplifiers. We need feedback in our all everyday life, and therefore in electrical system also we need this feedback to gain many advantages. So in this lecture I am going to introduce you first the general description of feedback, and next using block diagrams the necessity of the feedbacks or the system of the feedback in electrical system will be introduced. And thereafter the open loop and closed loop gain which are associated with the feedback amplifier, that will be discussed, and the negative feedback will be discussed. Negative feedback, a part of the negative feedback will be discussed in this lecture, and in the next lecture I will discuss the next part of the negative feedback. We experience feedback in our everyday life starting from our first footstep we put on the floor after leaving our bed at the early morning. Because when we walk, due to our body weight, we put a force on the solid floor, and in return, the floor also exerts a force oppositely directed into our feet, and that force is due to, based on the Newton's third law, that every action has an equal and opposite reaction. So that oppositely directed reacted force made the walking possible for us. And that is why when we walk through water, we cannot walk. We cannot walk through the quicksand. We cannot walk through the air. But a bird can fly through the air because the bird wings can exert a force on the air so that air can exert equal and opposite amount of force to the wings of the bird, and that force made the flying possible for the bird through the air medium. So these force which are being generated due to exerting some primary force on this medium, the secondary forces are called the feedback. But in our case, we cannot control the feedback which nature gives us. That means the solid floor always provide a feedback force which is always equal and opposite in nature. We cannot control, we cannot make this feedback force larger or smaller. Now think what would happen if we can make or we can control such a feedback force. If we could control that, then we can make such a feedback force larger than whatever we are applying on that. If we could do that, we can even fly through the air, because by that mechanism what we uh, could have, so by that mechanism we can exert, we can gain the feedback or we can control the feedback force of the air, and by that feedback force we can fly through the air like a bird. But unfortunately we can't do that without any machines like aeroplanes. So controlling a feedback is a uh, is a is a very important factor. The controlling the feedback is done by a singer when he or she sings, because whatever the output they are producing, the singer is producing, that output he or she is taking back to her or his ear in order to listen his or her own voice. So what the voice or what is the quality he or she is producing, so every singer wants to listen when they are recording their voice or they want to provide a good quality singing. So by taking the output or the production what they are producing, so that by taking the same quality which is they are giving at the output, they are taking the feedback, and listening the feedback they are making themselves correct and producing a good quality of singing. So basically feedback means the part of the output taking feeding back to the input system. Here also the singer is singing, and the part of his singing is feeding back to his ear, and he can make his voice or his tone uh, correct by listening his own voice. So this is basically a feedback, taking the output back to the input originating system as an secondary input, and finally comparing the original input with the secondary input, the output can be made corrected. The similar concept we can apply for our electrical system. In this diagram, I have represented a simple system which is without feedback. No feedback exists over here. So there is a simple source which has a source voltage as Vs and source current Is, and when it gets connected with some amplifier. This amplifier I named here as the base amplifier, and base amplifier are simply those amplifier what I have discussed in my earlier lectures. That means a fixed bias, a self bias, a voltage divider bias. All such things, such amplifiers can be considered as a base amplifier, because this amplifier you can consider without feedback. Although for the cell bias there is a emitter resistance which provides the feedback to the VBE, because I told and I have discussed the thermal runaway, and for that the fixed bias circuit is unstable, and in order to make the circuit stable I need to connect an emitter resistance that provides the feedback regarding the current that gets increased due to the increase in temperature and due to the thermal runaway, and that current what gets increases a voltage drop across the emitter resistance, and according to that VB gets controlled or gets reduced when the voltage across the emitter resistance gets increased, and according to that the IC gets reduced as the VB gets reduced. So in this way emitter resistance provides the feedback to the system. But in case of voltage divided bias circuit, we put a capacitor across the emitter resistance in order to avoid such a feedback for the AC signal. But we want that feedback for DC signal in order to make the Q point stable. But we don't want the feedback for the AC signal, so that is why we put a bypass capacitor so that AC signal can find a bypass path in order to uh, get the maximum gain out of that amplifier. However, so such kind of amplifier can be considered as the base amplifier. So base amplifier input voltage is Vi and the input current I've considered this Ii, but in this case since there is no any other element, so Vs will be equals to Vi and Is will be equals to Ii, and the base amplifier is producing the output voltage as V0 and output current as I0. Now, if this base amplifier is a voltage amplifier, I will discuss what is a voltage amplifier and the current amplifier later on. But right now, I am considering it is a voltage amplifier. It means the output which this amplifier is producing is voltage, and the input what we have provided to this amplifier is also a voltage. So the gain which will be unitless, that means the ratio of output voltage to input voltage. Basically, the gain of a base amplifier is decided as output voltage which it is producing and the voltage which is appearing across its input impedance. So this Vi is actually appearing across its input impedance. So the gain means open loop gain means V0 open load gain means not open loop. Open loop is a different thing I will discuss here. But open load, where is no load is connected. So open load gain for this voltage amplifier is represented as the ratio of output voltage to input voltage Vi. But in this configuration, Vi is equals to Vs, so we can replace V0 divided by Vs. Similarly, a similar argument is applicable for the current gain also. If this amplifier is a current amplifier, then we are interested to the ratio of output current to input current. But here also the input current is equals to the source current, so that is why I have replaced over here. As I told that without having feedback we cannot control whatever the signal which is being produced through this amplifier. Means if there is any distortion or error or phase mismatch, we cannot make that error corrected when we are having this output. So in order to make those errors or the mismatch corrected, we need a feedback system. That means we need to get this output part of the output back to the input system, and finally we can check the actual input or the output with the actual input, and finally comparing these two things we can make the system correct. And this is a block diagram of the feedback system. Look at here. This is the source which has a source voltage Vs and source current Is, and your base amplifier is right now over here. It is also producing the V0 across the load what was it was producing in the previous case. So that load V0 in this case V0 will be slightly less than the previous one, because in the previous case that was open load, but here I have considered with load. So obviously V0 will be somewhat less than the open load case. Now the situation is a bit different because you are taking or you're sampling the either the output voltage or the output current, and that sampling what you should sample that depends upon the configuration I will discuss. But for the time being, consider you are sampling some of the output voltage or output current and feeding back this output quantity into the input quantity or input signal, and you are mixing this input signal with this input signal. And after mixing up this output with this input, you are having the input current as II, which is not equals to Is, because that mixing is done prior to this node. Similarly, Vs cannot be is equals to the Vi, because there is a mixing with this input voltage and the output voltage or input current to the output current. And why we are doing these things? In order to control the output, what in order to provide the good quality output. So we are basically taking the sample from the output either in terms of voltage or in terms of current, feeding back into the input, or this becomes the secondary input to the system, and by comparing the actual input which is coming from the source with the secondary input which is the feedback, we can produce the good quality output. Based on the type of mixing we have at the input side, the feedback can be of two types: the positive feedback and the negative feedback. When the feedback signal gets added with the input signal and finally producing the input current II or input voltage Vi, so that type of feedback is called the positive feedback. And when the feedback signal gets subtracted from the input signal, then and producing the II or Vi, then that kind of feedback is called the negative feedback, because now first case the feedback signal is gets added, and thus in the second case the feedback signal gets subtracted from the source signal. Now here is a comparison between without feedback system and a feedback system. And without feedback system can be called as the open loop system, and a feedback system is called as the closed loop system, because there exists a loop, you can see, from the output to input. So there exists a loop. So that is why it is called the closed loop system. And without feedback system is called the open loop system, because there exists no loop. In this comparison, what I'm going to do, I'm assuming that either this voltage or current as X, because the feedback can be possible in terms of either in terms of voltage or in terms of current. So in general, I denote the current or the voltage as X. So here I'm considering AX as the open loop gain, that may be for the current or maybe for the voltage. So open loop gain is equals to the output voltage divided by the input voltage. The input voltage is the Vs. But right now, since Vs is equals to Vi, because there exists no element over here, so we can write output voltage divided by the voltage which is appearing across the amplifier. That is the open loop voltage gain, or open loop gain in general. That may be voltage or may be current. As I have used X over here, that can be considered in general it is open loop gain. Now let's come for the closed loop system, or system with having the feedback, the system with feedback. In this case, the gain with feedback is same. The expression is the output quantity divided by the input quantity, or the output signal divided by the input signal. The output signal can be either voltage or the current. So X0 I have written over here, and the input signal is associated with the source that can be either of the source voltage or the source current. So that is why I have written Xs. But now Xs has this expression because the actual input what the amplifier is experiencing, that is Xi, that is either Vi or Ii, not the Xs, because the feedback signal is either being added or being subtracted depending upon the type of feedback, whether it is positive or negative. So in place of Xs, we should replace uh, this factor, that means Xi minus plus Xf. This plus appears for the positive feedback and this minus over here is appearing for the negative feedback. But when you are replacing this Xs over here, this plus minus becomes this minus plus. Now, right now we should remember that this minus in this expression of gain, minus is due to the positive feedback and plus is due to the negative feedback. It is just opposite from this expression what we have. So I have replaced this Xs through this expression, and now I have divided both the numerator and denominator by Xi, and I have obtained what? Look at here. So at the numerator I have X0 divided by Xi, and at the denominator I have Xf divided by Xi, and that can further be represented as Xf divided by X0 and multiplied with X0 divided by Xi. We know what is X0 divided by Xi from this expression. X0 divided by Xi is nothing but Ax, that means the open loop gain. And here also X0 divided by Xi can be replaced by the open loop gain. And what is Xf divided by X0? This expression you can find from here, because when you are taking the output sample and you are feeding back into the input, we generally do this feeding through some network or different another network other than the base amplifier. We should have to careful that the source, the signal from the source must be propagated through the base amplifier and should be available at the output. But when we are taking the feedback, that feedback signal must not go to the base amplifier. That must go through the feedback network and should be fed or should be mixed with the input. Therefore, so there exists another network which is taking the output signal of the base amplifier, that is either in terms of voltage or in terms of output current, as an input. So for this feedback network, these output signals are the input while they are producing some signal either in terms of voltage or in terms of current. So that is why I have denoted as Xf. Xf is the feedback signal that is appearing either in terms of voltage or current. So if you take the ratio of the output signal of the feedback network to the input signal of the feedback network, so that will give you the gain of the feedback network. Although I told it is gain, but in general this gain is very less than 1. We'll see. So in order to make familiar with this gain of the base amplifier, I call this is a gain, but this is basically called the feedback factor. For the feedback network, it is called feedback factor. So K is the feedback factor, or which is equivalently you can call it a gain of the feedback network. So the ratio of the output signal of the feedback network to the input signal of the feedback network is the feedback factor, as I have shown here. Therefore, this Xf divided by X0 can be written as K. And finally, the closed loop gain, which is denoted as AXF. F stands for with feedback, and without having F means without feedback. So AXF is equals to AX divided by 1 minus plus KAX. Here minus is appearing due to the positive feedback and plus is appearing due to the negative feedback. And through this expression I have obtained the closed loop gain in terms of the open loop gain and the feedback factor. And as I told, from now we are going to observe only these expressions, so you have to be very careful regarding this sign, because minus sign stands for the positive feedback and plus sign stands for the negative feedback. Negative feedback. At the beginning of the negative feedback, I should discuss a few advantages and disadvantages of the negative feedback. First one is the stability in a circuit, and you should remember regarding the cell bias and the voltage divider bias circuit. So the voltage divider bias or the cell bias circuit, they are much more stable with respect to the reverse saturation current ICO in comparison to the fixed bias circuit, because due to presence of the emitter resistance, the thermal runaway gets control for the cell bias or voltage divider bias circuit. And I have shown you by calculating the stability factor that due to the presence of the emitter resistance, so these two circuits are much more stable in comparison with the feedback fixed bias circuit. And this stability we have achieved by that feedback, that negative feedback. We know the VB, base to emitter voltage, uh, gets controlled by the emitter voltage, and the emitter voltage is being subtracting some voltage from the base voltage, and by this way it is providing the control. So that feedback was basically the negative feedback, and we are gaining the stability over there. So negative feedback offers stability. Negative feedback desensitizes the closed loop gain against any fluctuation. Take this example. So this is the general expression for the gain what I have obtained. Now if you differentiate this gain expression of closed loop gain with respect to the open loop gain, you will get this expression what I have written over here, and I have just made a rearrangement over in this expression. Now if you divide this expression by the original gain expression, you can have this expression where the left hand side, this quantity represents the percentage change in closed loop gain, whereas this quantity represents the percentage change in the open loop gain. Because at the numerator there exists a differential change of the open loop gain, at the numerator it is the open loop gain, and here also the differential change in closed loop gain, and there exists the closed loop gain. So they represent the percentage change in basically this expression relates the percentage changes in closed loop gain with the percentage changes in open loop gain. Now take an example over here. Suppose at steady state, the open loop system has the gain, open loop gain as shown over here, is a very high gain amplifier. We cannot achieve such a high gain amplifier using bipolar junction transistor, and for achieving, to achieve such a high gain, we need a different amplifier that is called the operational amplifier, that will be discussed later in this course. And consider that this closed open loop gain is fluctuating about 20%. This is a very big fluctuation, because we generally consider the steady state fluctuation we consider within only plus minus 2%. So here the variations is 20%. So basically the open loop amplifier, this with such large or huge oscillation or fluctuation, we cannot use such an open loop amplifier if it has such a huge or wide range of fluctuations. Now we are interested to find out how much fluctuations the closed loop gain should experience if a negative feedback is employed with this feedback factor of 0.1. Let's do it. Now first calculate 1 plus k times ax. So k is 0.1, it is given, and open loop gain it is given, so ax is open loop gain, and from here you can calculate the 1 plus k times ax as 10 to the power 4. Now we know the open loop gain fluctuates 20%, so this factor we know, and we have to find this factor. So this factor is 0.2 as it is 20%, and we are going to find this one. And plugging all these expression, that means 1 plus k times ax as 10 to the power 4, or 1 by 10 to the power 4 will appear in this expression when I'm using over here, and 20%, we have only 0.002% fluctuations for the closed loop gain. Such a small variations we are experiencing, or the amplifier should experience when the negative feedback is employed. So it is basically the closed loop gain gets desensitized due to this factor. You can see this 10 to the power 4 which is appearing due to this 1 plus k time ax. This factor is actually desensitizing the fluctuations, the closed loop gain against the fluctuations. So that is why 1 plus k time ax, this factor is called the desensitivity factor, where this k times ax is called the loop gain, because when you traverse the loop starting from the uh, signal and traversing the base amplifier which has a gain ax, open loop gain ax, and you are feeding back or looping back through this feedback network to the input, the feedback network has a gain k. So the total loop gain when you traverse once, that loop gain you will get, that is k times ax. Another advantage is the better control over the closed loop gain, because in general the open loop gain of any base amplifier is not controllable. You can take an example of HFE for the BJT, which is not controllable. Whenever a BJT gets fabricated or designed in the laboratory, its open loop gain, open loop forward gain, which is HFE, forward current gain, gets fixed, and the designer cannot control it. But when the designer employ a negative feedback, where the negative feedback system is using that bipolar junction transistor, then the expression for the closed loop gain is coming like this. Now, if the feedback factor when gets multiplied with the open loop gain, and this factor, their product is coming so large that they are very greater than this one, then you can neglect this one in comparison with this product, and finally the closed loop gain can be represented as 1 over this k, and k is the feedback factor. And in the feedback network we generally do not use any kind of amplifier, mainly resistive networks are used in the feedback network. So therefore, right now the closed loop gain depends upon some resistive network what the designer can control from the outside of the base amplifier. So by this way, the control over the gain is achieved by employing the negative feedback. Bandwidth. As we have seen in my earlier lecture, that bandwidth gain bandwidth product is constant when bandwidth gain gets increased, bandwidth gets reduced, and when gain is decreased, bandwidth gets increased in order to make that product constant. So in this case, as I have considered this open loop gain AX is very large, but this closed loop gain depends upon the feedback factor and in my last slide I have shown you the feedback factor is in general it is less than 1, and I have considered it is 0.1. So this closed loop gain is much smaller than the open loop gain. So therefore, when you are employing the negative feedback, this closed loop gain, the gain gets reduced. As the gain gets reduced, I'm talking about the closed loop gain obviously over here. When the gain gets reduced, the bandwidth, the closed loop bandwidth gets increased. It has the only disadvantage, that is the gain is reduced. But however, this advantage actually gives us the advantage. This disadvantage provides us the advantage in terms of the gaining control over the gain. Feedback topologies. So basically, depending upon the type of sample we are taking from the output, that means whether we are taking voltage sample or the current sample, based on that there exists four type of sampling, and depending upon the type of mixing we have, we can mix the output signal either in series or in shunt. So we have four type of mixing, and combining these type of sampling we have and type of mixing we are doing at the input, there exists four feedback topologies. So when you are taking voltage from the output as a sample and you are feeding that voltage as a feedback, and that feedback is uh, uh, being fed at the input in series comparison, so that topology is called voltage series feedback. And when you are taking current as a sample, the output current you are taking as a sample and you are feeding in series at the input, so that is called current series. Similarly, for the current you are mixing that feedback signal, what is the current right now, and you are mixing with the input in shunt, so that will be called the current shunt feedback. Similarly, voltage shunt is also possible. Here this block diagram shows how the sampling is taken. So for voltage sampling, we are tapping at these two nodes as shown over here. So in this way, we are taking the sample output of the output voltage, and the feedback network, it has the input as the output voltage, not the output current, because we are tapping these two lines as shown over here. Similarly, for the current sampling, we are drawing the current as shown over here in this diagram. Here, the output current is being fed to this feedback network and finally will be mixed up with over here. So this is the current sampling we have. Mixing. In case of series mixing, whatever the sampling we are taking, that may be the current or maybe the voltage, the mixing here I am doing in series. When we are mixing in series, as we are discussing the negative feedback, so series mixing means this feedback signal must be subtracted with the source voltage or source signal. Now, a series type of signal can only be subtracted or be added if this signal is a voltage. So therefore, your source signal must produce a voltage, because in series voltage sources are either subtracted or can be added, whereas in shunt uh, the current signals can be subtracted or can be added. So in case of series mixing, we generally employ the KVL, and for current shunt mixing we generally apply KCL. So this is the shunt mixing, where the feedback signal or feedback current uh, gets subtracted for the negative feedback system with the source signal. So therefore, for the shunt sampling, the feedback signal obviously will be a current, and for series mixing, the feedback signal must be a voltage. And since this feedback signal for the series mixing must be compared with the similar type of signal, so the source signal must be considered as a voltage. And for shunt sampling, since the feedback signal is current and it should be compared with a similar type of signal, so the source signal that should be considered as a current for shunt sampling. Now, for the voltage series feedback, this is the total block diagram for the voltage series. Here, from the output, we are taking the sample of voltage, and at the input of the feedback network, output voltage is appearing. And since it is being mixed in series at the input, so the feedback signal must be the voltage type, and obviously the source type also would be the voltage type. So therefore, the feedback factor will be a ratio of Vf divided by V naught. It is a unitless ratio, and similarly AV, which is the open loop gain, that also will be an unitless ratio, that is the ratio of output voltage to input voltage. And this expression is a well-known expression for the closed loop gain. Now the current series. For the current series, the output signal which is being sampled is a current, and the signal which is being mixed up with the input, that is a voltage. So within this feedback network, this conversion process is taking place. So output current being converted into the voltage, feedback voltage, and when they are mixing up at the input side, so they are being mixed up in terms of voltage. So output is current and the input is voltage. So therefore it is called, the base amplifier gain is, you can take as output current to input voltage, because the input is a voltage type. So that is called the transconductance amplifier, and it has a closed loop gain. We generally denote as G small m for the transconductance. The feedback factor is the ratio of the voltage, because it is producing the voltage and it is taking the output current as input. And the closed loop gain here, as I have shown over here, the closed loop gain is also a transconductance type, where this GMF represents the uh, gain with feedback and GM is a gain without feedback. But the expression will be similar to the previous one. That means 1 plus the desensitivity factor 1 plus K times GM should appear over here. Next one is the current shunt feedback. That means the output which is being sampled out, that is current, and the feedback signal is mixing up with the input signal in shunt. That means obviously the feedback signal must be of type current, and similarly the source signal also will be current, we have to consider. So by considering the current on both sides of the base amplifier as well as on the side of the feedback amplifiers, we can define the feedback factor as the ratio of feedback current to the output current. So it is the feedback factor, and the open loop gain of the base amplifier, it is also defined in terms of two currents. One is the output current from the base amplifier to the input current to this base amplifier, and the closed loop gain can also be expressed in a similar way as I have expressed in my previous slides. So the closed loop gain for all type of amplifiers should take a similar form. That means the desensitivity factor taking the product of the feedback factor times its own open loop gain should appear at the denominator. Voltage shunt. In case of voltage shunt, obviously you are sampling the output voltage, but as the mixing is done in shunt, so the current, the feedback signal must be of current, and the source signal also will be of current. So in this case, the feedback factor is a ratio of output current. So output current means the feedback current to the output voltage, and this output voltage means the actual voltage you are having of the circuit as a circuit output. The closed loop gain or the open loop gain right now is called the trans resistance type, because the output voltage you are considering, but for the input you are considering the current. So the ratio for the open loop gain gives you the output voltage to input current, and such kind of amplifier or base amplifier is called the transconductance amplifier. And when you are considering the closed loop gain, then also the closed loop gain should appear of transconductance type. So as we have seen, the four type of feedback topologies uses four type of different amplifiers: voltage amplifier, current amplifiers, trans resistance amplifier, and transconductance amplifier. Therefore, before going to study the feedback network, we have to understand the properties of these four amplifiers. First is the voltage amplifier. Here I have shown a voltage amplifier which has an input impedance Ri and output impedance R0, and this amplifier is taking Vs as the input signal, and that input voltage source is producing the Is as the input current, and Rs is the source impedance associated with the voltage source. Internally, this amplifier is amplifying the voltage which is appearing across its input impedance, not the voltage what you have applied. So that amplified voltage I have represented over here as a dependent voltage source, and that voltage source depends upon this Vi, not on this Vs. And when that voltage source is amplifying, that amplifier is amplifying the voltage which is appearing across its input voltage. So this amplified voltage is taking another impedance R0 in series with that, and this R0 is considered as the output impedance for the voltage amplifier. So for voltage amplifier, output impedance appears in series with the amplified voltage or signal. RL is the load impedance I am considering. Now for the voltage amplifier, what should be the properties of this input impedance and the output impedance? That we must need to know. Vi can be derived from the applied voltage Vs using the voltage divider rule, that is Vi is equals to Vs times this Ri divided by the summation of Ri plus Rs. Now as I told, that amplifier generally amplifies the voltage which appears across its input impedance, not the voltage what you are applying, That means some of the voltage should appear or should drop across its own source impedance, and that drop will be considered as a loss because that part of the voltage is not appearing across the input impedance, and obviously that portion or that part of the voltage input voltage cannot be amplified finally. So in order to get the entire applied voltage to be appeared across the input impedance of the uh, voltage amplifier, we must have this condition that Ri must be very greater than Rs. And if you can make this condition, then Vi will be approximately is equals to Vs, and then that voltage can amplify the voltage what you have applied. Next, what will be the property of output voltage? If you calculate output impedance, if you calculate the output voltage, so that can be expressed in terms of the amplified voltage, which is equals to A small v times Vi. So output voltage can be written or can be expressed based on the voltage divider rule as shown over here. Here also our objective is to apply or to have all the amplified voltage across the load impedance, and we should expect uh, a very little or ideally no voltage gets dropped across the output impedance of the device, because if some of the amplified voltage will be dropped across its own output impedance, so that will not be available across the load impedance, so that will be considered as a loss. So in order to get the entire amplified voltage across the load, we must have this condition. That means R naught must be very less than RL, and if it is, then the output voltage will be approximately is equals to the amplified voltage. So we can summarize the properties of the input impedance and the output impedance for the voltage amplifier. Input impedance for a voltage amplifier must be very greater than the source impedance, and output impedance must be very less than the load impedance. Similarly, for current amplifier, we expect that the entire source current should pass through the input impedance of the device, because that current which is passing through the input impedance, that must be amplified by this current amplifier, because the current amplifier I have represented here as a dependent current source which depends upon this input current which is passing through the input impedance of the device. But here, as I have assumed the amplified signal as current, the output impedance is appearing in parallel with the load impedance. Here also, as I have assumed the source is a current source, the source impedance is appearing in parallel with the input impedance. Therefore, if I investigate the property of input impedance, we can see the current which is flowing through this Ri can be derived using the current divider rule. So Is times Rs divided by the summation of Rs plus Ri. So in order to make this entire current to flow through this input impedance of the amplifier, we must have this Rs very larger than this Ri, because then only the most of the current should find this path through this Ri. That is why input impedance must be very less than this Rs if the amplifier is a current amplifier. For the output impedance, we can find the output current using the current divider rule also, and in order to have the entire amplified current through this load impedance, because we are using this amplifier to drive that load by this amplified current, so we should expect the entire amplified current should pass through the load impedance, and in order to make that, the load impedance must be very smaller than the output impedance of a current amplifier, or in other words, the output impedance of a current amplifier must be very greater than the load impedance of that. So that is why the property of the input impedance of the current impedance as I have shown over here. For a trans resistance amplifier, output will be of a voltage signal and the input will be a current signal. Therefore, the properties of the input impedance and the output impedance will be mix of those current amplifier and the voltage amplifier. So, for the trans resistance amplifier, Ri must be very less than Rs in order to drive the entire current through this Ri. But for The output impedance, which is appearing in series with the load impedance, this output impedance must be very greater than the load impedance in order to have the entire amplified voltage across the load impedance. Here the voltage source depends upon the input current. The transconductance amplifier. For the transconductance amplifier, output is a current signal whereas the input is a voltage signal. Therefore, the input impedance must be very greater than the source impedance in order to get the entire applied voltage across the input impedance of the device, and the output impedance also must be very greater than the load impedance in order to get the entire current to flow through the load impedance. So these are the properties of the four amplifiers.